Good afternoon. Oof, I just got blank head. Anyways, good afternoon, everybody. How's it going today? Congratulations on first for Jade and second for BK. Welcome in. Uh, how's it? I think ads are going. Oops. Well, I guess I'm just gonna go to just chatting. Let's do. Let's change this to Cradle. Blackflame. Chapter 1, 2, something. Also, you're gonna be starting your walk to your interview soon, but I thought I'd drop by to see how you're doing. That's very sweet of you. I hope your interview goes well. And thank you for the hydrate and stretch. I appreciate you. Then I'm gonna unhide this. Move it up just a tiny bit. Yeah, of course. I hope it goes very well. And I hope you get the job. And then. Oh, that's not it. Um. Well, there's chat back. Congratulations on second BK if you're still here. Welcome in. How's it going today? Um, I'm gonna pause the music. I don't even think it went through. Jade, if you're still here, was the music going through? I couldn't tell. And I meant to start that ad break a bit earlier. I wanted to have it run before 5 minutes. I kind of forgot. And I went to go get water before I did. But I will remember for Saturday. I have a donut to eat. And we're just gonna chat for a minute before I actually start the book. But yeah, how's everyone doing today? I'm doing pretty good. I kind of slept in pretty late. I think I slept in until 10, which is really nice. I got a lot of sleep. Mm, kind of been a pretty slow day so far, which is not bad. hmm There's some chocolate sauce on the side of my maple donut. I was not expecting that. What have y'all been up to today? I've just been hanging around and trying to schedule viewings for apartments. Ooh, that's fair. Um, yeah, that's nice. I hope you find something good soon. I know you and a friend have been thinking about it. We talked about that yesterday. Um, mhm. I'm having a hard brain day, but that's okay. I won't need to worry about that when I start reading. I'll just read what's on the page. All right. Well, I'll save the rest of that for later. And I will start reading here in just a moment. Give me one sec, please, and thank you. Do, 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 do. And okay. I will be starting the book reading now. Very slow intro to the stream, but that's okay. All right. So, for a little bit of information, this book, comparatively to the last book, is only 3 chapters longer, but around, I think, 150 pages longer. So this one's gonna last us a little while. Excuse me. Last us a little while. Probably if we do 3 or 4 chapters a stream, we can make it about 6 streams before we're done with this one. And if we do it every other week, that means it'll be a bit. um, so let's get right into it. If we remember, at the end of the last book, um, Lyndon, Yaren, and Ethan all made it to the top of the not the ancestors, the Transcendent Ruins, and they found what the Jai clan and all of the Five Factions Alliance was looking for, the Ancestor's Spear. The Ethan revealed himself to be an underlord from the Blackflame Empire, of the Aurelius family and declared Lyndon and Yaren under his protection. But because Lyndon killed Jailong's best friend, Lyndon allowed Jailong to challenge Athan allowed Jailong to challenge Lyndon to a duel in 1 year. So, yeah, we are picking back up in the Five Factions Alliance, where after the events of what happened in the peak of the pyramid. Information requested. The path of Blackflame. Warning, significant deviations detected. Report accuracy compromised. Recommend renewed contact with iteration 110 to restore functionality. Beginning report. For over 5 centuries, the Blackflame family held their empire. Jeez, okay, hold on. Welcome in, Ro. Thank you for the lurk. I appreciate it. I'm gonna restart the actual report. For over 5 centuries, the Blackflame family held their empire by virtue of unstoppable force. Before facing a single Blackflame sacred artist, an entire sect would surrender. All across the empire's lands, rebel strongholds and rival schools were burned in dark fire. None stood against the Blackflames because none dared. To be suspected of insurrection was to be destroyed. The path of the unstained shield excels in protection. The path of 1,000 hands in versatility. The path of the Cloudhammer is respected for mobility and force, and the path of Silver Grace for its elegance. The many paths of the Red Flower family grow food and bring rain throughout the empire, and the path of Jade Eyes is unmatched in healing. The path of Black Flame was stolen from ancient dragons. It is the art of pure destruction. But mortal humans are not suited for the power of dragons. Slowly, the Blackflame family declined, their minds and bodies eroded by the destructive power of their sacred arts. Eventually, even the citizens at the heart of the empire thought of the imperial family as symbols and legends. More and more of the day-to-day workings of the empire were left to the Blackflame's traditional servants, the Naru clan. They became the face of the Blackflame Empire, with their loyal reputation and shining emerald wings, and the people grew to know and trust them. 50 years ago, when the Blackflame family had faded to ashes and myths, the Naru quietly ascended to the throne. The first Naru clan empress has since moved into private seclusion, and her son now rules the empire. As for the Blackflame family themselves, most died out decades ago, gradually eaten from the inside out by their own Madra. The only remaining Blackflames are data not found. If their family and path are revived, the consequences could be connection severed, restoring connection failure. Archived information regarding Cradle remains accessible, but analysis of current conditions and projections into the future will be disabled until contact with iteration 110 is restored. Report complete. Gold steel tongs poised, Lyndon knelt over the carcass of a twisted wolf. The dread beast looked as though it had been subjected to dissection and decay already, its skin bloody red with spots of diseased black. But it had looked that way even before death. It was cobbled together from mismatched parts, a botched and diseased creation. He may have passed out from the smell if not for the perfume-soaked cloth wrapped over the lower half of his face. And even so, he tried to breathe through his mouth. Lyndon had already made his incision down the ribs of the creature, pinning flaps of skin back to get a look inside. He had to saw through the layers of meat and tendons, and his gloved hands were speckled with foul blood. Now he tried not to choke on perfumed air as he took a deep breath to steady himself. Fisher Gesher loomed over him, a disapproving presence. Gesher was possibly the oldest person he'd ever seen, like a shriveled pile of wrinkles placked these words like a shriveled pile of wrinkles packed into a sacred artist's robes. Her gray hair was tied up into a tight bun on the top of her head, and 8 legs of mechanical forged madra stuck out from the bottom of her robes, lifting her high enough to see over his shoulder. "Carefully now, carefully," she directed. "You hit the binding at the wrong angle, you'll chip it like a teacup." Lyndon dipped his head slightly in lieu of an apology, then slid his hand into the wound. Back home, he'd helped his father clean meat from a hunt, but this body had started to rot even before its death, and Lyndon struggled not to gag. He could only get 2 fingers past the ribs, but they quickly ran into a mass of sharp, solid edges, as though something had glued broken glass into a fist-sized bundle of shards. He hardly brushed the binding with his fingers for fear of shattering it. He withdrew his hand most of the way, holding open the incision. "In a remnant, the binding would be easier to remove," Fisher Gesher told him, still watching from the side with hands clasped behind her back. "No muscle to cut through, Simple, simple, simple to remove. But dreadbeasts keep their souls in their bodies. Nasty little things, so they leave no remnants. Their techniques grow in them like this, alongside their organs." She was trying to cram as many lessons into him as she could before Ethan took him away, so that the Underlord couldn't say she'd been neglecting his education. While Lyndon appreciated the effort, it was something of a distraction to have to listen when he was trying to remove a delicate piece of forged madra from a corpse. Inserting his tongs, he got a solid grip on the binding. Madra could react unpredictably with physical objects, but gold steel was a unique substance. His tongs looked like ordinary gold until the light caught them, then they flashed pure white. Gold steel could get a firm grip on virtually any kind of madra, which was why it was often used for soulsmith tools and defense against hostile remnants. He held the binding firmly in place, careful not to squeeze too hard and shatter it. Then he slid 2 fingers back into the dreadbeast, next to the trapped binding. He pinched a bundle of slick muscle. And cycling madra to enforce his fingers, he tore it away from the binding. It was like pulling apart warm bread. He would never have been able to tear meat so easily only a week ago, before advancing to iron, and the dreadbeast was dead, so it was no longer enforcing itself with its own madra supply. After he had ripped free every connection from the binding to the surrounding body, he tilted his tongs a few degrees in every direction to make sure he could move freely. He gradually slid the binding out. It was a ball of jagged spikes, the yellow of its material barely visible beneath blood and bits of tissue. He wasn't sure how the madra of such a binding would interact with the physical body, but he still winced at the sight. This had been inside a living creature. It must have caused agony every time the beast moved. Then again, the binding may not have forged itself into existence until the wolf died, and it wasn't as though Lyndon cared for the suffering of the dreadbeast anyway. He dropped the blood-soaked binding onto a tray that Fisher Gesha had prepared for the purpose. Then something caught his eye. He turned back to the wolf's body, inserted the tongs once again. Inserting the tongs once again. There was a glimmer of something behind the wet space where the binding had once rested. A speck of white, too bright and clean to be bone. He pushed some of the muscle away, though he found himself leaning at an awkward angle to get around the ribs. The white object was a tiny spiral no bigger than his thumbnail, but it was warped out of shape, like a half-melted wax seashell. The white was speckled with a rainbow of other colors and, of course, drenched in blood. But he reached the tongs in for it. At the first touch, the binding dissolved like chalk in rain. Fisher Gesha smacked him on the side of the head before his before his advancement to iron. She might well have killed him. "You don't touch Madra you know nothing about," she warned, shaking a finger at him. "Very dangerous." Lyndon bobbed his head to indicate he'd heard her, but he couldn't just leave it alone. "But, Honored Fisher, I believe I saw one of those before." In fact, he suspected that he had one in his pack. His white spiral binding was large and pristine, whereas the one in the dread beast had been small and shot through with other colors. But he thought they might be the same crystallized technique. The same technique that had gone into the Jai ancestor's spear, allowing it to steal Madra. She slapped him again, on the other side of the head this time. "You've seen one. I've seen 1,000. Spent my life hunting these woods. You think there are surprises for me?" She jabbed a finger in the direction of the corpse. "When a dread beast eats an animal, the meat goes to its stomach. When it eats a remnant, the Madra goes there." Lyndon brightened. "If this can steal and process Madra, like the ancestor's spear does, doesn't that make this a treasure? Every dread beast has the material for a new spear." He was working himself up with every word, envisioning himself standing in an arena against Jai Long with a white spear of his own, and a core bursting with stolen Madra. "Hi, Cash. Welcome in. How's it going today?" Gesha brushed her hands off on the front of her robes, though she hadn't touched anything. "In my grandmother's day, they tried such a thing. Used those bindings to make a weapon to take power from the ones they killed. But it did to men the same things it did to them. Everyone who used such weapons became monsters, hideous and deformed." She shuddered. "If we could make the spirit of the Jai ancestors ourselves, why would we prize it so highly? Just passing by to listen for a bit before I have to go out for family dinner. Well, I appreciate you passing by. I hope dinner goes well." Clearly, she didn't know what he'd taken from the soulsmith foundry at the top of the transcendent ruins. "But, Fisher Gesha, I have notes from the ones who made the spear." He watched her as he spoke, anticipating her shock. Without changing expression, she reached into the pocket of her outer robes and pulled out a wooden document case. "You mean these notes? Yes, you left them out the other night. These are ancient. You should be more careful with them." Look, my earbuds are about to die, but I'm glad I was able to listen for a bit of the book. Well, I'm glad you were able to be here for a bit, Jade. I hope your interview goes well, and I hope you have a good day. Maybe we'll see you back in a bit. He would have reached for them if not for the gore on his hands. "I'm sorry I was overeager." These are brilliant. They will provide you with years of study and inspiration." She tucked them back into her pocket. "Someday. First, you must learn the basics." Disappointment tightened into panic. He wanted to use the knowledge of the spear as a trump card against Jai Long. "If I may speak openly, Honored Fisher, I was hoping to create a weapon according to those notes." "If an infant wishes to forge a sword of his own, should its interests be encouraged? No. I will return these to you when you have learned to stand on your own feet as a soulsmith, and not before." Lyndon wanted to argue, but he was unlikely to earn anything more than just another hit on the head. And the smell was getting worse every second he knelt over the dread beast's corpse. Reluctantly, he let the topic slip away. He dropped the tongs onto the tray next to the one binding they had secured, then staggered away to take a deep breath. They had left their belongings many paces away to avoid the mess and stench. Lyndon's carried in a bulky pack that he normally wore on his back, and Gesha's in a sealed chest of polished wood. Lyndon stopped to remove his bloody gloves and rinse his hands at a station where he set up for this exact purpose. With a wisp of his spirit, he activated a blocky blue construct that he'd nailed to a tree. Blue liquid trickled from the box, Madra forged into water by a binding inside. Not real water, but anything would do to wash off this tainted blood. It was only a crude device, barely worth calling a construct at all, as Gesha had repeatedly reminded him. But it worked, and water Madra was common here in the desolate wilds, as the disciples of the Pure Lake School outnumbered most everyone else in the region. Given that most of the nearby trees were at least spotted with black corruption, if not entirely black, and the wildlife seemed to share the affliction, Lyndon could see why pure water might be a valuable enough commodity to support a powerful school of the sacred arts. When he'd cleaned his hands, Gesha had already rinsed off the binding and stripped away the extra muscle, leaving the forged Madra exposed. A spiky crystal of yellow Madra, streaked with layers of deep red and pale orange. Most other forged Madra tended to be one solid color, but this chaotic blend seemed to suit the dread beasts. They gave off a riot of conflicting auras, as though different powers warred within them. Lyndon thanked Fisher Gesha as he reached for the tray. "Are you sure you want to guide me so far? Rinsing a binding for me, that could be considered holding my hand." It was only intended as a light joke. Those had been Ethan's words when he sent Lyndon out to train his soulsmithing with Gesha. "Don't guide him too far, if you wouldn't mind. I don't need someone who can't walk without his hand held." Thus far, Gesha had taken the Underlord's instructions seriously, refusing to even carry her own trunk out into the forest and making Lyndon haul it himself. But she'd seemed to relax as they had hunted over the last 2 days, so he thought a small joke might ease the remaining tension. Apparently, he'd judged wrong. Her face darkened, and she shoved the tray at him with enough force that he stumbled back. Despite her age, she was still a high gold, and he was only an iron. "You want to report me to the Underlord, You want me to waste his time? Well, see if I help you any further." She turned to shout at the air, as though she suspected Ethan was hiding close by to listen. "Not a finger more, you see, not a breath." "Forgiveness, honored Fisher, forgiveness. This one intended no offense." "Offense? No offense. But see if I risk landing on a..." Okay, let's try that again. "Offense? No offense. But see if I risk landing in a boiling kettle with the Underlord just to help you. If a dread beast comes up to nibble your toes, see if I pull you out of the fire. You told me not to help him. That's what I'll tell him." In a quieter voice, she added, "And I told you to stop with this one, that one. That is what offends me." Lyndon gave her a shallow bow and then turned to her trunk, throwing it open. On the top level were all her most valuable soulsmith's tools, save her drudge, on which she stood. The spider construct had identified the location of the binding in the dread beast's body, but it would take much of the guesswork out of building a construct. But he wouldn't have access to a drudge until he built one himself. The tools had all the components of gold steel or half silver, and the gold surfaces flashing white and the silver ones embedded with stars. They weren't made entirely from the exotic metals, but there was still enough inside the trunk to count as a fortune back in Sacred Valley. Here, where the materials were even more rare, they might qualify as a sect's treasure. He was lucky the fishers had allowed Gesha to take them out, although, with Ethan Aurelius standing behind Lyndon, They may not have had a choice. Before selecting his tools, he ran his Madra through the binding. It drew one of his cores almost dry, using it to launch a technique. A knuckle-sized bolt of golden light blasted from the binding, tore through the leaves and earth, and smacked into a tree, chipping away a piece of bark. Striker binding, Gesher said immediately. Aspects? At least earth, Lyndon said. The color reminded him of the earth aura, so he went with his instincts. Maybe force? Some wind? If you could take a look with your dredge, we could know for sure. Not for sure. A dredge only checks for what you tell it to check for. There is no substitute for experience. Now then, what would you do with this binding? A construct, essentially, was a puppet with a single technique embedded in it. The binding was a technique. Scripts could tweak the specifics, but the bulk of the construct's abilities were determined by the power of the dead matter in its shell and the binding at its heart. Lyndon reached into his pack and slid out a book Geshe had given him only 3 nights before. The Combination of Spirits. Sorry, pardon, give me one moment, please. Alright, I'm back. There we go. There. It was written by hand, rather than printed by a construct like most of the books from Sacred Valley, but he found the observations of the ancient soulsmith teachers fascinating. I haven't had the time to study in depth, but I had some inspiration. You see, here it mentions a striker construct that won't activate until a certain amount of time passes. You could put one circle on an arrowhead. Launcher! Fisher Geshe interrupted. You think my question did not have a correct answer? It does. The correct answer is a basic launcher construct. Lyndon hesitated. I'm sure that would work, but the binding serves the same basic purpose already. A launcher construct was a little more than a container with a striker binding in it. As far as constructs went, launchers were boring. Nothing of what they did amplified or enhanced the binding's technique in any way. In Lyndon's opinion, you might as well just keep a striker binding in a script-sealed box and take it out when you needed it. Gesha reached into the pocket of her outer robe and pulled out a second book. Soulsmithing for Coppers. On its cover was a picture of a smiling tree holding hands with a friendly-looking remnant. You forgot one of your new books, Luckily I grabbed it before we left. She tossed it to him, and he forced a smile. Thank you for the correction. Thank you for correcting my careless oversight, Fisher Gesha. You'll find instructions for a luncher inside. Oof. My sinuses are making it hard to do Gesha's voice. Sorry, one more moment, please. Alright, I think I'm good now. I'm gonna try that line again. Mm. You'll find. Nope. You'll find the instructions for a launcher inside. Lyndon peeled open the book, flipping past overly large illustrations of children putting simple constructs together. It was a grating reminder that he had first forged Madra only a few weeks before. Technically, he supposed he was at the level of these children, but he was pushing himself in every other aspect of the sacred arts. Why did he have to start from the beginning only here, as a soulsmith? But Gesha's stern gaze did not relent, so he sighed and walked back over to her trunk, removing the claw of an earth remnant, which still twitched with life if he held it too close to the ground. It would serve as the ideal body for this weapon. With a gold steel scalpel, he split it open, placing the binding within. He ran his spirit over the loose construction, letting his power drift into the dead matter. With focus and only a few deep breaths, he took control of the remnant piece. The claw began to shine again, like it had when it was part of the remnant. Lyndon felt when his spirit filled the dead matter and the binding equally, empowering them both. Then he fused them together. The claw shrunk, compressed, and reshaped itself slightly. The binding melded into the substance of the claw, sealed inside it so it was all one piece. And that was all. Now it was a shining yellow rod tipped with claws, which could launch a blast of rock-hard energy when provided with Madra. It wasn't much of a weapon, but it counted as a success nonetheless. As all the soulsmiths in Sacred Valley had been forgers because of the process of creating a construct was similar to forging. You take control of power and give it form. Lyndon could have reformed the dead matter to look more like a sword, or a box, or most anything else, but he hadn't bothered. It was just a launcher. More than forging ability, Lyndon had learned, crafting a construct required compatibility. The power of a soulsmith soaked into the power of the construct, and some aspects of Madra did not blend well. In those cases, the soulsmithing process could result in a useless product, or a deadly mistake. Pure Madra was compatible with everything, but it was also weak. It added nothing. Fisher Gesh's Madra was attractive, as in, it literally pulled objects together, and that meant she could fuse dead matter to bindings with no trouble at all, and her Madra was still compatible with most everything. There were a few powers she couldn't reforge without danger, but she had a dredge to identify exactly when those were present. Pure Madra wasn't the best for any given construct. It weakened the original power of the Madra like water added to wine. But it did technically work with anything. Lyndon would take any advantage he could get. Back in Sacred Valley, every forger thought they knew something about soulsmithing, because making a construct was fairly easy, but making one safe, one that performed as intended every time, and lasted for as long as possible, you had to measure the dead matter and the binding precisely to avoid unexpected interaction, handle the materials correctly, dissect the remnant properly, and know how to customize and tweak the functions with scripts afterward. Unless you were making a launcher. Gesher nodded approvingly. You move quickly and with confidence. This is good. Only a week or two, and we will take further steps. He tried to keep most of the disappointment out of his voice as he said, A week? Gesher's hand struck like a hawk taking a mouse, slapping him on the back of the head. This time, it really stung. Keep your eyes on the present, not the future. Her spider legs shuffled, turning her back on him. Wait. Your instruction has been invaluable, Honored Fisher, Lyndon said, although in truth she hadn't taught him much at all before the last few days. It seemed that his endorsement from Ethan had promoted him from servant to student. I bow to your wisdom. She reached over her shoulder, resting a hand on the hilt of her hook. Like all the members of the Fisher sect, she carried a giant bladed fishhook as a weapon. sharp on the inside. Hers was plated with gold steel, and he'd personally seen her dissect all sorts of remnants with it. You wish to run before you can stand up straight, Gesha said firmly. You do not travel any path by skipping steps. He had skipped every step he could, and ever since leaving Sacred Valley, he had succeeded beyond his wildest dreams. But he didn't say that out loud. The honored fisher is wise. You are blind. Yes, Fisher Gesha. Oh, you know this. Yes, Fisher Gesha. This is strange to me. A man who knows he is blind would be very careful of his surroundings, lest he be taken by surprise. Something grabbed Lyndon's ankle and pulled him off balance, before his iron body, slamming his chin into the hard-packed earth, would have blinded him with pain, and perhaps lost him a tooth. Now he only felt pressure hitting his jaw, and he instantly twisted to see what had snared him. A line of purple madra stuck to his ankle like spider silk, stretching back into a figure of purple light lurking in the trees. Like all remnants, it looked like a collection of brush strokes, as though someone had painted it into existence. This one was tall and sunken, with inhumanly long limbs, and the gaping face of a fish. Its thin, webbed fingers were tipped in claws, and its blank purple eyes were fixed on Lyndon. His heart hammered, and he had to focus on keeping his breath even and steady so that his madra didn't slip out of control. Not long ago, he would have panicked at this sudden attack. But that was before Ethan had locked him in a stone ruin alone for 2 weeks. Panic could wait until the fight was done. The spirit was still 24 yards away, but it already had him. The purple string fastened to his ankle stretched back to the remnant's outstretched hand. Lyndon filled his hand with madra and struck out, driving an empty palm into the string. But the line only quivered. It remained fastened to his ankle, one end stuck as though it had grown out of his skin. The remnant made a sound like a bubble popping, and the line started dragging Lyndon across the floor. His breath came in ragged gasps, and he was having more trouble keeping his breathing technique steady. When he tried to grab the string and pull, his hand passed right through the madra. Gesha was drifting alongside him, the legs of her spider construct matching his pace. You think too highly of yourself, and this is what comes. A jade would have sensed my approach when I returned to camp. A jade would have felt this fellow coming. Honored Fisher, Lyndon grunted, straining to reach one of the gold steel tools that remained on the dirt. Help me, please. An iron child in these woods should have no more pride than a mouse, no more courage than a rabbit. You have your eyes on the future. You stare only at your goal far away, so you miss the traps at your feet. Mustering all his strength, Lyndon enforced his arms, driving his hands into the soft earth. The remnant pulled him through the dirt for another moment, plowing 2 furrows before his momentum stopped. Gesha stopped as well, still speaking idly. This is a lesson for all sacred artists, not just soulsmiths. A snake who tries to swallow an elephant will only choke. Lyndon may have been too preoccupied with the remnant trying to eat him than with Gesha's instruction, but he couldn't see how... Oh, the pages are stuck together. Oops. But he couldn't see how her lesson applied to this current situation. Certainly, he would have taken the time to put down some sort of alarm circle around the camp before he started working on his construct, but he didn't see what that had to do with his unauthorized soulsmith experiments. And did they have to talk about this now? He was face down in the dirt, clinging desperately to the earth with arms outstretched, shoulders aching so badly they were starting to shake. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw Gesha slowly draw her hook and examine it in the light. Clearly, she was in no rush to help him. You were always trying to skip steps, yes? To cheat. This is carelessness, and it will land you in more trouble than this. I understand, Fisher Gesha, Lyndon gasped. Please, let me free. Something grabbed him by the right hip and then by the back of the neck. More webs, stretching out from the purple remnant. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Fisher Gesha beckoned with her left hand, and a purple line appeared between her fingers and the remnant. One way or another, do not tell the Underlord that I helped you out of danger. She heaved on her line, and the remnant was jerked off its feet as though it weighed nothing, tumbling over the ground as her purple string shortened. When it was dragged to her feet, she swept her gold steel hook through the spirit's neck. Bright sparks of violet essence sprayed into the air like blood, and the remnant's head fell away. The force pulling on Lyndon released, and he sagged into the ground, his arms and shoulder crying out in relief. This one humbly thanks you, Fisher Gesha. Not this one, she said. Before we return, tell me what you have learned today. I am careless. I overstep myself, leaping forward when I should progress slowly and carefully. So long as you have learned. He didn't tell her what he had really learned. He would have caught the remnant's approach if he were Jade, and she, a high gold, had sweated it like a fly. That was the real lesson. If you are powerful enough, you could accomplish anything. Now, before we start chapter 2, I'm going to take a quick drink because Fisher Gesha's voice hurts my throat so bad. Okay. Chapter 2. Tears glistened in Jai Chen's eyes as Jai Long held her hand. Crawl died fighting beside me, he told her. He went quickly and courageously. He died a hero. Pardon, I'm gonna try that line one more time. I need to get back into into Jai Long's voice. Crawl died fighting beside me, he told her. He went quickly and courageously. He died a hero. The Underlord killed him? Her little sister asked. She labored to push her voice out, every breath a fight against the invisible weight on her chest. Jai Long squeezed her hand a little harder, but restrained himself so as not to hurt her. A boy he brought with him. Just an iron. Jai Chen's eyes opened wide, and her arms fluttered as though she tries to raise them. An iron? He struck like a coward, from behind, with a stolen weapon. Even another Highgold couldn't have faced Crawl and lived. The tears welled up again, and Jai Chen sniffled. Young Master Crawl. She couldn't seem to choke out the rest of the words. Jai Long smoothed her bed sheets. I would have told you before, but I've had many preparations to make. He reached down, unlatching a scripted case. From within, he produced his surprise. The Ancestor's Spear, a glowing shaft of forged white madra scratched lightly with lines of script. Jai Chen struggled upwards in bed to get a look, straining to push herself upright. From the very top of the transcendent ruins, he told her, as she extended hesitant fingers to touch it. When she looked at him for permission and only rested her hand upon it when he nodded. It's warm. It draws madra from others into me, Jai Long said, and she jerked her hands back. No, no, you can touch it. It only means I'll become stronger for every clan member I defeat. Then you'll avenge young Master Krull? She asked quietly. He placed the spear back into its case, latching it back, so the precious Madra didn't dissipate. The scripts on the spear prevented Madra decay, but the Sandviper's soulsmiths couldn't say by how much. It was always best to be careful. If he lost this weapon, there was no replacement. I would have avenged him on the spot, if not for the Underlord. He patted her arm. But the Aurelius family is not entirely without honor. They will allow me to face him in the arena in 1 year's time. Sadness crept over her face, but it took her a full few breaths before she could speak. Back to the Empire? But we... He waited patiently as she focused on her breathing. We were going to leave. Do you want to go back? Only to butcher them, he thought, but he spoke calmly. The Jai clan has refiners and soulsmiths. If I break into their vaults, perhaps I could heal you myself. Even if that doesn't work, I could earn the support of the Naru or the Kotai, or one of the schools. They say the pills of the Jade Eyes can restore even the freshly dead. Her smile was twisted by pain and bitterness. You don't think we can leave? He patted her arm to buy himself time to think before he answered. When I'm finished, there will be no one left to follow us. The topic had grown much darker than he'd planned, but they talked for an hour afterwards of lighter and happier things. Food, gossip, geez, words are hard. Gossip, memories of Crawl. When her exertions took their toll and she fell asleep, he picked up his case and excused himself, leaving her behind him, etched with the scars of his failure. Her body was perfectly healthy, damaged only by years of weakness and isolation. On good days, her smile was so wide and open that it almost made him forget anything was wrong. Her spirit told the real story. Despite himself, he swept his spiritual perception over her, lighting her spirit in his mind's eye. For a moment, he took in the wreckage left by the monster that had rampaged through her soul. Her Madra channels, which should have spread throughout her body in clean, even loops, were twisted and broken. Half of the passages were dim, blocked, and the other half too bright, as Madra built up in the wrong places. Her core was wrapped in a web of cracks, leaking light like a broken lantern. Enough Madra trickled through her ruined spirit that she could just barely move. Even that much was a miracle, the result of healers working day and night for a week after her accident. The culprit lay coiled in his core even now, the remnants Madra blending with his own as it gradually dissolved, its memories and sensations lurking in the back of his mind. By the time he reached True Gold, he would have digested it completely. It was the most total, thorough revenge he could imagine. He had been exiled from the main branch of the Jai clan because the remnant was from a different path. And he'd brought his sister along because she had no one left to support her. The clan could have restored her. It might have cost them some rare materials, but they could have done it. Actually, I'm gonna take a while ads are run. I'm gonna take a quick break so that way people don't miss what's going on. I'll start back up right there. Oh, hydrate. Wow, that's crazy. I'm gonna say it again once the ads are done, just in case you couldn't hear it this time. But thank you for the hydrate, Alexander. I appreciate it, and I will thank you again soon. All right, ads are about to end. There we go. Ads are back. Ads are over. I don't know if you were able to hear it, Alexander, but welcome in and thank you for the hydrate. I appreciate it. Lots. Mm-hmm. All right. I'll hydrate real quick, and then I'm going to continue with chapter 2. He had been exiled from the main branch of the Jai clan because the remnant was from a different path, and he'd brought his sister along because she'd had no one left to support her. The clan could have restored her. It might have cost them some rare materials, but they could have done it. They didn't, because she was of no value to them, which had shown him the extent of the clan's loyalty. Why should he be loyal in return? He shut the door of his sister's cabin gently so as not to wake her, nodding to the low gold sand vipers standing guard on either side. These were warriors he'd selected personally, and they knew they answered to him. They would die at their posts. Though that loyalty might soon be tested, judging by the green banner flying over the Sandviper camp, Jylong gripped his case more tightly and looked back to one of the guards. He's back? His bats landed only minutes ago, the guard confirmed. He exchanged glances with his partner, and Jylong knew their thoughts as clearly as if they'd spoken aloud. Would the Sandviper chief blame Jylong for his son's death? Jylong found the newly returned group of sandvipers clustered around a repurposed stable, a cluster of filthy, fur-clad men and women he could smell halfway down the street. They had been in the wilds for months, too far to respond to the call of the transcendent ruins, and now they had arrived to find their heir and the heir to their sect murdered. Days ago, Jylong had ordered this stable cleared out and cleaned, prepared to host Sandviper Crawl's body. The corpse was preserved by rare medicines, waiting for a mourning father. The Sandvipers parted to allow Jylong to pass, though their gold signs were not so courteous. The miniature Sandviper remnants on their arms coiled and hissed, reflecting their host's anger. Jylong pushed open the door and slipped inside, holding his polished spear case. He was already primed to tear the ancestor's spear free in an instant. Gokrin was a true gold, and more than capable of killing Jylong if he reacted poorly. The weapon might be the difference between defeat and survival. Gokrin, chief of the Sandvipers, was a wiry man with slicked back gray hair and a pair of short, one-handed spears crossed on his back. He wore furs from chin to toe, with the shed skin of some great snake wrapped around his neck like a scarf. He was not a tall man, and Jai Long was used to him standing with his spine rigidly straight, looking down an upraised chin as though everyone else stood beneath him. Now he'd collapsed on the floor like a child, sobbing. He gripped his head in both hands, nails driven into his scalp. His reptilian gold sign let out a long, crooning cry. Jai Long let the door slide shut behind him, unaccountably disturbed. Somehow, he had pictured a man of Gokran's power and dignity standing over his son's body with arms folded, demanding recompense from those responsible. Maybe a single tear would roll down his face, or his commanding voice would catch for an instant, as a brief acknowledgement of human grief. He had never expected Gokran to weep as though an enemy had torn out his own heart. Jai Long had pushed his feelings aside in favor of action, but now his own grief stirred from where it had settled. Gokran had crumpled at the base of a long table, on which a pile of mismatched furs. Now, what? For words. On which a pile of mismatched furs rested. One of those furs had been flipped back, revealing a pale face and a curtain of dark hair that spilled over the edge of the table. Sandviper Crawl had been the first to welcome Jai Long when he and his sister had been exiled to the wilds. He had been the only one. I don't know why the words are so hard right now. Let me take a drink of water real quick. He had been the only one to look Jai Long in the eyes instead of staring at the crimson bandages wrapping on his face. Oh my god, wrapping his face. The only one to visit Jai Chen and tell her stories of the outside world. He was the only one who tried to give two exiles a home. And there he was, cold on a table, because of a spoiled underlord's whim and the tricks of his pet iron. When the anger slipped its bonds and burned through him, hot and angry, Jai Long's hand tightened on the spear case until the scripted wood creaked and threatened to crack. Gokran must have heard, because he turned toward Jai Long for the first time, eyes red and face soaked in tears. His voice scraped out wet and raw. "Tell me, please." No, I don't think I like that as his voice. Definitely should be deeper. Tell me. No. No. Too high. Hmm. Hmm. Let's see. Da, 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 da. Hmm. An iron. Something like this, maybe a bit lower, like this. Tell me, please. Jai Long wasn't sure he'd ever seen the Sandviper chief make a request of anyone. "It was the Aurelius Underlord," Jai Long said. Gokren stared blankly at the floor, so that Jailong wasn't sure if he'd heard. He continued the story anyway. He approached us in disguise, slipping into the ruins as a worker. Once inside, he freed himself and his followers, leading them to the prize. He beat us to it by minutes, and we would have surrendered the prize to him if he had only told us his name. While I fought his disciple, he distracted Crawl so that an iron child could stab him in the back with some kind of hidden weapon. We believe it was developed by Fisher soulsmiths, but an underlord could have any number of tricks. Jailong watched Gakrin for any reaction, keeping his perception open in case the true gold prepared an attack out of rage. But Gakrin only sat there, watching the ground. I would have killed him if the Underlord hadn't revealed himself, Jailong said. It sounded like an excuse, but it was only the truth. But he has no affection for the iron. He allowed me to take a prize from the ruins, and he gave me a year. At the end of that time, I will meet his iron in a duel, and he will not interfere. Where are they now? Gokren asked. The Fishers are keeping their borders tight, but they should have left days ago, Jailong said. His information was sadly lacking, but he was confident in his conclusion. The Aurelius Underlord had no reason to linger in the desolate wilds an hour longer than he had to. An iron, Gokren mumbled. He pressed one hand against his eyes. My son. An iron. They left him no pride when they killed him. For his sister, Jailong had played up Crawl's death in a battle to make it seem as though he'd met a respectable end. That wouldn't work for Gokren, so Jailong stayed quiet. Gokren took a moment to master himself, then rose. He cast one glance at Crawl's body, brushing hair away from the pale forehead. I know you will avenge him, Gokren said quietly. Jailong had come in here expecting a battle, but there was no fight in this man, at least not directed at him. In a year, you will take back his honor, and I must only endure. Gokren straightened, and the shadow of the Sandviper chief's poise returned. But I know you will not spend this time idly. What is your plan? Jailong hadn't been sure how to approach this topic. He had feared that Gokren might learn about the ancestor's spear from one of the Sandvipers and decide to take it away. He wasn't worried about that possibility anymore. Placing the long wooden case on the floor, Jailong flipped it open and revealed the shining white weapon. Gokren clenched and unclenched his fists, watching the spear. Minutes rolled by as he stared, the acid-green sandviper on his arm hissing every now and then. You're going back to your clan. Jailong said nothing, which was answer enough. Will Jai Daisho stop you? The Underlord Patriarch of the Jai clan was a legend, and with his own hands he had built the Jai from a remote clan in the wilderness to an imperial power. If he acted, Jailong's dreams of revenge would melt like snow in the summer sun. To him, property is the highest virtue, Jailong said, bitterness in the words. Not property, propriety. If the Patriarch had been the slightest bit flexible, Jailong and his sister would still belong to the head family. Every step must be taken in its proper order, and he will defend that order to the death. He will not act until his high golds, true golds, elites, and elders have all fallen. Green light dripped from the Gokren's body, half-forged Madra from the path of the Sandviper, but he didn't seem to notice. They will feed themselves to you, one by one. And by the time Jai Daisho reveals himself, I will be more than his match. The Underlord had once groomed Jailong to be his replacement, after all. The ancestor's spear would allow him to close the gap on his own. Pardon my sneeze. But Chief Gokran shook his head. The gulf between gold and lord is wider than you imagine. It requires a certain insight that I've never gained. He flexed his hand into a claw. If it was only a matter of power, I would have broken through long ago. But you may not need to face him. Rumor says he's dying. Is this true? Reflexively, Jailong remained quiet. Those were clan matters, and not to be spoken of before outsiders. That thought was replaced by disgust in an instant. Years away from the main Jai clan, and the Jai was still keeping and Jailong was still keeping their secrets. How deep their poison sinks. Unless they've discovered a miracle cure, he won't live 5 more years. You only have to avoid him for one. By the time you kill the Iron, you'll have gutted the Jai clan. Then you retreat west, back here, and we'll hide you until the Underlord dies. Jailong searched for words, but none came. At best, he had expected the Sandviper chief to berate him for leaving. He'd even come prepared for a fight. He'd never dared to hope that Gokran would break a long-standing alliance for him. He was tempted to tell the grieving father to reconsider, that he was risking the future of his sect for personal vengeance. But the truth was, Jailong needed every ally he could get. The Sandviper crossed the room and grabbed Jailong by both shoulders. His grip was painfully tight, his eyes fevered. Jailong had to suppress the instinct that told him to break the hold to escape. You were a brother to my son, Gokran said. Your enemies are mine. Jailong's eyes welled up, but he pressed his fists together and bowed. Gokran squeezed his arms one more time and then released. Unless they've fled, some of those enemies are right here in camp. Let's see if you can't test out that new spear. He threw the stable doors wide open, and the Sandvipers at the entrance straightened in respect. These were the veterans of their sect, the oldest and most loyal warriors. Kral's death would stain them all. They simmered with suppressed anger, eager for a chance to vent their pain and shame. We march with Jailong against his clan, Gokran announced, tearing one of his short spears free. Sandvipers, we hunt. Jailong was prepared for hateful looks cast his way, for words with hesitation and blame, for the Sandvipers to turn their anger on him. Once again, he saw how deeply he had misunderstood his allies. They roared in agreement with their leader's words, their Sandviper gold signs shrieking to the heavens. They clapped him on the back as they passed, whispered words of encouragement, or pressed their foreheads against his for an instant before rushing off to battle. Not an instant of hesitation, not a word of blame. With a new family at his side, Jailong marched to destroy his old one. Taking a drink of water. Lyndon had to spend one more night in the woods, scripting their camp against remnants and dreadbeasts and curling up in a crude tent only yards away from Fisher Gesha's. After the day's attack, he had woken with every cracking twig and gust of wind, groping for his launcher construct. But dawn broke without event, so he and Gesher returned to the Five Factions Alliance camp with the rising sun. He read as they walked, committing simple scripts to memory. Put that away and listen to me. Gesha ordered as they approached the camp walls. You are no longer a copper with one friend and no enemies. You should learn to conduct yourself as a member of a great family. Lyndon opened his pack and slid silksmithing for coppers inside, resting it beside the Sylvan Riverseed's glass case. I await your instruction. Her mouth tightened and guilt flashed across her face. I did not teach you well before Ethan Aurelius took you in. He started to disagree, a polite fiction, because she really had been a terrible teacher for the past few days. Before the past few days. But she cut him off. It's true, and I'm not afraid of the truth. You were never my disciple before the Underlord picked you up, no matter what I told you. But I could never treat a member of the Aurelius family so disrespectfully as to ignore them. Gratitude. Your instruction is appreciated, but I have no voice in the Aurelius family. Nothing you say to me will reflect on them. That wasn't entirely true, and they both knew it. Before he was attached to Ethan Aurelius, Gesha could have cut his head off in broad daylight, and the passerby would have simply stepped around his bleeding trunk. Now she'd have to answer to an underlord. But Ethan didn't have the time to listen to Lyndon's petty complaints. Lyndon wasn't some spoiled noble's son with a doting father. In fact, he wouldn't be surprised if the underlord cast him out of the family on a whim. Gesha sighed. This is a lesson for you. As you travel into the wider world, reputation is a sacred artist's greatest treasure. If the Underlord hears that I have disrespected you, he will take that to mean I do not respect him. You see, the powerful have no mercy for those who step on their reputations. Their conversation stopped as they passed through the entrance of the guarded wooden wall and into the Alliance camp. Walking down hard-packed dirt roads past buildings that had been hurriedly tossed together from raw lumber and bare stone. They had a few moments before they were alone again, so Lyndon had some time to think. Gesha was trying not to say it out loud, but Ethan frightened her. She was terrified that something Lyndon said might lead to her execution. Lyndon knew that Fisher Gesha was a highgold who could twist him into a knot without ever touching him, but she was still a 4-foot-tall old woman that could have been his grandmother. His heart softened when he saw her careful and afraid. I won't carry news back to him, I swear it, Lyndon said. He won't hear a thing from me. She gave him a grateful look, clearly relieved that she hadn't had to spell it out. Then she gave a brief chuckle. He's an Aurelius, she said dryly. If the rumors are true, then he'll hear about it regardless. That made him consider his fears again. Lyndon laughed along, but she seemed half serious. That made him consider his fears again. If Ethan was really that dangerous, maybe he should reconsider accepting his invitation. Then again, this could be the one area where he had more experience than Fisher Gesha. Ethan may be an underlord with a level of power Lyndon could only dream of. But he'd seen Suriel with his own eyes. He wasn't sure how far she ranked above an underlord, but he was certain Ethan couldn't hold a candle to her. He hasn't descended from the heavens, Lyndon said, smiling slightly. He can't see everything. Not everything, Ethan said. Lyndon stumbled back, bumping into a wooden wall at the side of the street. More gracefully, Fisher Gesha hopped down from her spider construct and sunk to her knees, pressing her forehead against the ground. All around them, sacred artists of all ages dropped to the dirt as well. At first, only a few had caught the sight of Ethan, but more and more people noticed. In only a breath, the sparse crowd of perhaps 24 people had fallen to their knees with their heads bowed. Only Lyndon and Ethan remained standing. This was the fisher section of the Alliance encampment, so most of the people here were fishers or their allies. But it was still disturbing to see all these people recognize Ethan on sight. Only a few days ago, Ethan had pushed through a bustling crowd of 100 times this size without interruption. Hi, hun, welcome in. How's it going? You have workies today, don't you? I think. Oh, that's right. You told me that this morning. I forgot. Um, then when I finish this chapter, I'm gonna probably read one or two more, and then I'm gonna decide what I'm doing for the rest of stream. I wouldn't. I'll wait to discuss that until after this chapter. Pipe is fixed and water is restored. That's good. I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad nothing bad went wrong. I'm glad nothing bad happened. Words are hard today. For his part, Ethan stood in the center of the road as though he'd waited there all along, though he certainly hadn't been there a moment before. His yellow hair fell past his shoulders, and his smile was broad and cheery. He kept his eyes on Linton and Gesha, as though the strangers didn't exist. Today, he wore a teal outer robe embroidered with golden fish leaping and playing among the waves. Your unworthy servant greets the Underlord, Gesha said, and there was a murmur of agreement through the crowd. Underlord, Lyndon said, hurriedly sketching a bow of his own. Forgive me, I was startled. Ethan brushed that away with a gesture. There will be no forgiveness. To the blood pits with you. Gesha trembled on her knees, and Lyndon laughed awkwardly. The Underlord looked at them, gauging their reactions, and eventually shrugged. Not every joke is appreciated in its time. Tell me, Soulsmith Gesha, would you mind if I borrowed my little brother here? Feel free to say no, although of course I will have your corpse mounted on a flagpole for the slightest defiance. The will of the Underlord be done, Gesha said from the ground, her face still in the dirt. Her shaking had grown more noticeable. None of the strangers dared to make a single sound. Lyndon passed a hand over his face. With lowered voice, he said, Please, Underlord. Ethan's eyes widened. Am I to be condemned because she takes things too... No, fine, all right. He knelt at Fisher Gesha's side and spoke in a much gentler voice. I beg your pardon, Soulsmith. Please rise and address me face to face. He raised his voice. All of you, on your feet and on your way. With the speed of gold sacred artists, the crowd vanished, and it was as though the breeze had blown them all away. Gesha rose, but she did not face him. On my word as an Underlord, you will not be punished for anything you say, here, or have said today, Ethan said impatiently. Now follow my instructions, Heigold. Finally, she let out a breath and met his eyes. Thank you for your mercy, honored Underlord. Tell me how I might serve you. Ethan looked to Lyndon. You see how much faster it is when I just tell them what to do? It's infuriating. I don't want to phrase everything as a command for the rest of my life. That sounds hard on you, Underlord, Lyndon said carefully. Yes, the endless subservience and instant obedience wear on me, but if you call me anything other than Ethan again, I'll have you sleep in a cave full of bats. He stroked his chin for a moment, considering. You could call me brother instead, if you preferred. Yes, that would be... Thank you, Ethan, Lyndon cut in. Well, as I was saying, Fisher Gesha, I must borrow your pupil for an hour or 6. I'll return him to you in 1 or more pieces. As you will, Underlord. And I had something to ask you as well. Ethan drew himself up and addressed the old soulsmith with full authority. You will not be punished for any decision you make here. On my word and the honor of my family, we depart for one of my homes in the Empire very soon, perhaps today. I would be honored to have you accompany Lyndon as his soulsmith tutor, but you are free to decline and stay with your sect. There will be no repercussions of any. I decline, Gesha said instantly. She didn't even look at Lyndon. He hadn't expected any different, but it still stung. Ethan clapped his hands. A firm decision. Wonderful. Then, goodbye. He extended an arm to shepherd Lyndon and turned as though to continue walking down the road, but Gesha had already scurried away. A wooden door slammed shut. Lyndon wondered if she'd escaped into a random nearby building. For a woman her age, she really is spry. Good for her. Not everyone keeps up with their physical exercises as they get older. And a healthy spirit lives in a healthy body. Lyndon adjusted his pack, hitching it up on his shoulders. I'd like a chance to bathe before I continue my training, if you don't mind. I've been in the forest for 3 days, and water is scarce. Ethan turned to him with an expression of obvious disappointment. Do you think you'll be able to fight a true gold in a year with such half-hearted resolve? How much valuable training time do you plan to waste on baths? Lyndon bowed hurriedly. Forgiveness, please, I spoke out of turn. No, I was pulling your strings again, but you really shouldn't waste soap on yourself yet, you filthy mud-caked animal. After a day of this training, you'll be covered in sweat. And probably some blood. Ethan considered for another moment as they walked. In fact, it would be best to expect the blood. All right, we're going to take a quick break from the book so I can ask you guys a question. So today, after a quick stretch, I normally do Rabbit and Steel after doing book reading stream, but I was thinking about maybe doing something else today. I'm not exactly sure what I'm gonna do, but I normally play Rabbit and Steel, but I was thinking about doing something else. If you guys still do want to see Rabbit and Steel instead of a different game, we could definitely do that. Um it can be a single player game, a multiplayer game. I don't know. I'm not super feeling Rabbit and Steel today, which is a little odd, I think. But hold on, let me take a quick look at Steam. Also, before I start my next chapter, I'm going to run an ad break and go get some more water and stuff like that. Um if anyone has any suggestions for games they might like to see, I would definitely be down to do it. Um Oh, I'm just trying to decide what game I'm gonna play after I finish chapter 3 or 4 today. I might just do chapter 3 and then play games. I'm not buying Gang Beasts. For the last time, I'm not buying it. And we need more players for that anyways. Maybe I'll do some Hunter. No, no more times. We could do Hunter. We could do oh, honestly, we could do Sonic Frontiers and do that extra story and make that the after book reading stream thing for a bit. Or maybe I'll just I don't know if I want to play Rabbit and Steel though. I'm not feeling it. I could do Terraria. I could do um I could actually like try to play through Bloons TD battles. Because there's like an actual thing you can do with it. Maybe I could find a different game to play. No, those games would need their own streams. I could do some peak. I wouldn't mind peeking a bit. Actually, yeah, we'll do that. Actually, you know what? Hold on. I have an idea. What if I take a as I'm going to do an ad break real quick, and when I come back, what if I did a run of peak in between the next chapter, and then depending on how it, jeez, depending on how I'm feeling, I'll do another chapter, and then keep playing peak. My voice needs a little bit of a break, and water's not helping as much. I do need to go refill my water, but doing a run of peak would definitely give my voice enough of a break to do the next chapter good enough. So I I think that's what I'll do. Uh yeah. I'm gonna run ads real quick, and then I will be right back. All right, I'm back. Welcome back from the ad break, and we are going to go straight into the game. I'm just gonna do probably a solo run unless people are interested in joining. Um, Hold on, give me one moment. Do, do, do. Excuse me. Sorry. Excuse me again. Actually, wait, hold on. Give me one moment. Oh wow, it's all the way down here. Oh, you guys are out doing something. That's right. I forgot. Uh, Hallie and Vor, if you guys are interested, I did just message in the group chat that we have to see if you guys would like to join. I know you guys are doing something right now, so if you can't, that's okay, and I won't blame you at all. It's up to you though. I will do a solo run first if I need to, if you guys are interested. Oh, okay. Never mind. I'm not gonna ask her. Okay, well, I guess I'm just gonna do a solo run. That's all right. I'm gonna do a normal peak difficulty run to get myself back used to the game, and then I'll do an Ascent 6 run after Chapter 3. Because I'm gonna be very out of practice. Actually, I'm gonna do this real quick. We're gonna go. Okay, there we go. I'm gonna update that. Hopefully it'll change my not my Steam, my stream stuff. Oh, what the? Stop my cooking. I'll get back used to the controls for peak eventually, surely. I just gotta sit back and relax. I don't need that. One of the coconut halves is gone. That's unfortunate. hold on to this, and time to go. Actually, grab some extra food. The luggage over to the right. Oh boy. Hold please. My headset decided that it wanted to not participate, so I gotta plug it in. And now my headset is participating again. Oh, I see a big luggage up there. So I'll grab this, then go up there and get that. Ooh, there's 3 luggages all in a row, basically. Let's see what this is. Rope? That could be helpful. Baton. No. Nothing that I want. Oh, I'll take a checkpoint flag. And a granola bar. There's another luggage right there. I'm gonna go grab that real quick. Could go that way. I think I like the look of this way though. Maybe I don't. Up there. I got my bed PC set up to your stream. Nice. Welcome back. Will you tell me if the new stream title that I set up is actually there? I set the stream title to include peak in my in the title, and I don't know if it actually worked. Oh, nope. I'll just go around. There we go. Surely. I don't think I've ever heard that music before. Got scared for a second. And I don't know if you heard what I asked, but I don't know if my stream title updated. What are these bridges? They're all just hanging out. Ooh. Ancient luggage. There's no way I got the Scoutmaster's bugle. Man. Pretty sure this summons Scoutmaster. Why would I ever use this? Especially on a solo run. Did not mean to do that. Oh, rescue claw. Ooh, I will take a fairy lantern. That is good healing. Actually, I'm gonna eat this. Okay. Just light the campfire. So let's look through here. Oh. Need to cook my granola bar. I will be taking the fairy lantern. I need more food than just a granola bar. So I'll grab the marshmallow. Actually, I'm gonna put the marshmallow in here. Hold the granola bar. I don't need that. Hi, Jade. Welcome back. Thank you for the hydrating stretch. I don't need this. It's useful, but I don't need it. I need food more. I'll hold on to all this. I'll take one red crisp berry. Stream's been good. We finished 2 chapters, and then I decided that I wanted to do some peak. So, we are doing some peak. And because it's roots, I think I can actually get 2 of my remaining ones. I'll need to find a cooking pot, I think. I don't know if it's better to climb through the trees or to climb on the ground. I think I'll climb through the trees. The only thing I'm worried about is the spiders. Uh-oh. Fluffer, will you kill that bot, please? You're a mod, so I need you to do it. take care of it. Maybe coming up here wasn't the best idea. Oh no. Sorry, I think I answered your question, Jade, and then I think I started to answer it, and then I kind of forgot to finish answering it. But stream has been good. But yeah, like I mentioned, just kind of doing some peek after after some chapters, and I think it's going okay. I almost jumped for that vine. I would have died. I think I'm just gonna use the ground. These trees are not doing anything to help me. Ooh, red shroomberries are good. Oh. I just got spider snatched. That was horrifying. Oh, medicinal roots. I don't know if I need it, honestly, though. Or mandrake? Oh, true. Thank you, Nimag. Also, hi, welcome in. Oh, no. Roots is evil for that. True. I do need to cook and eat a mandrake. It's a medicinal root. I could hold on to that. What? Oh, that was rude. Oh no, the beetles. Easiest way to get mandrake, have an empty spot in inventory. If you see meta root on side that you can climb grab it. I think I'm a little confused. The mandrake will go in your inventory and won't scream. Oh, that makes sense. You couldn't tell, I don't play a lot of Peak. And I don't do roots often. Oh, is that one of the spiders? Because it's climbing on the wall? I don't know if I want to deal with that. I have bug mode on for, anti-bug mode on for a reason. Horn beetle. If you're near it, will fling you. Yeah, I actually died once while having used the Book of Bones because of that. I got flung off the rocks, off a large cliff by a horned beetle while in skeleton form, and I died. It was not very nice. Oh, that's rather rude. Oh, it's poisonous anyways. Unfortunately. Oh, wait. Luggage. The purple shroomberry is fine, I think. Nope, it was not. I lied. The blue one makes you blind. The purple one gives you way too much spore. The red one gives you infinite energy. The yellow one, I believe, heals your hunger for a bunch more than normal. And the green one does, I actually don't remember what the green one does. I'll hold on to that. I'll drink this now. I could rescue claw myself up there. Or if I can get on top of this tree, actually. Nice. Oh, that's right. Actually. Okay. The medicinal root. So I'm gonna grab the scout cookies. Wait, is there still use on the rescue claw? No, it's gone. Okay. Oh, no, 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 no. I took my hands off the keyboard for too long. Let's eat this real quick. And grab the medicinal root. Oh, never mind. The wind blew the medicinal root away. I'll grab this for a minute. I also need to cure myself of a zombie bite. Does anyone know what I need for that? I haven't found any zombies yet. But I'd rather find the cure for the zombie bite before I end up getting bit. Fairy lantern, bandages, medkit. Okay, so I have a fairy lantern. Awesome. I'll be able to cure myself of a zombie bite then. I want that explorer's... I want all that luggage. I just don't know how to get over there. Easy. I'll use this tree. Anything fancy in this log that I can't get access to? No. Actually, I'm gonna wait to eat this for a sec. Thank you, Mimmag. Oh. Oh my gosh. I'm so lucky right now. I got distracted by a zombie falling and then I missed my chance to grab the rock. But this is fine. I can still get back up. Oh! Hmm. Oh my gosh. Oh, I hate that. I hate that so bad. I'd be very careful of this water. Bye, zombie. Oh, my trick didn't work. It's very unfortunate. It's my third medicinal root. What the... can hear a horned beetle nearby. Oh, it's right there. What? Oh, well, I lost it. Oh, while climbing. Oh. Oh, uh-oh. That was my fault. I should have paid more attention. I might have to do it on another run then. I am not excited to have to do routes on Ascent 6. Watch the zombie fall again. Was I correct about the yellow mushrooms? They just heal a lot of hunger? Or they like fill you up a lot? I hope it's the Alpines today. I need to climb past the Alpines with only 20% cold. Sure. What do I got over here? Hot dog. More red berries. Scorch berries, which could be good for Alpines. I shouldn't need any more medicinal roots. Because I have my fairy lantern. This could be really not very smart for me to do. I think I'll do it though. I'm gonna cook the scorch berry. No, I'm gonna leave the scorch berries as is. I think they're better like that. I could be wrong. I'll cook the medicinal root. No, wait. No, I'll cook my thick mints. Alpines, perfect. Cooked hot dog. Oh, I forgot about that. I don't know why I cooked that. I'm just gonna bring the hot dog with me. Or... yeah, I'll bring the hot dog with me. Oh, I can just walk down that. That's not good. I wasn't expecting there to be wind pre-fired. They pre-fired that wind on me. Just gonna eat it now. More thick mints. Stop, 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 stop. That's so more than 20%. Gosh dang it. Yep, rip achievement. This wind is really annoying. I am playing solo. don't know what it is about Peak music, but it reminds me so much of Subnautica music. What? That's crazy. They are very similar games, like super duper similar. Yeah. Very, very similar. I wouldn't be able to tell you any kind of difference between Subnautica and Peak at all. I just wanted a red winterberry. You just need Peak to add a Reaper. Yeah. Peak just has to add a Reaper Leviathan and then it's like the exact same game. Or I guess Peak has the Scoutmaster. That's close enough, surely. People in chat, what's your favorite and least favorite zone in Peak? The lobby because my computer won't let me pass it. Oh, for Jade. Balloon. I don't think I need it. If it were a bundle of balloon, I would have taken it. but it's just a regular balloon. Rip my cheap Amazon laptop with an operating system not meant for it. Pats. I don't know how I can jump from up there all the way down and not take any fall damage, but the moment that I slip a little bit, I take fall damage. I did the operating system thing myself, but I think it's half the problem. Oh. What's the other half of the problem? To be fair though, it had Chrome OS. Oh, it needed charged. Oh, it needed changed. I don't know why I thought you said charged. It had Chrome OS. The other half is that it's just a bad laptop. Understandable, honestly. I don't know if I want to go that way. I'll take my chances going back inside this cave. That was a bad idea. I don't know why I jumped. That did not work out well for me. No. Okay, we're good. I wonder if I could get all the way over there with my climbing tech. I did it. Ooh, I'm gonna grab that remedy fungus. Damn it. How long can one windstorm last for? Jeez. I'll be very surprised if I manage to still get the achievement. 'Cause I'm pretty sure I went over 20%, but who knows? We'll just have to wait and see. Ooh, a cure-all. I don't know if I need that, though. Oh, wait, I shouldn't eat that yet. I should cook it first. Honestly, I'll grab the cure-all. Yeah. At first hunger tick, I'll eat this last use of scout cookies. There we go. Sometimes Caldera seems like it's the hardest, but also not the hardest one for me. Like, Caldera is a hard zone, that is very true, but it just sometimes doesn't feel like it's that bad. I still have another one of these, don't I? I do. So I can use this one. Oh, I'm start burning. Nice. Does that heal? It doesn't, at least not very well. All right, now that we're at the end of Caldera, so I'm gonna real quick go take a little bit of a bathroom break. I will be right back, and we can finish this run off right after. Be right back. Okay. I know ads are running, but I'm back and I can't keep AFKing just cause food. So I'm gonna come back quick and try to refill my hunger with stuff that's here. I'll drink this. Pandora's lunchbox might solve that fix. I just don't know if I necessarily want to use that. Thick mints, perfect. And then I can hold on to it. I don't need more healing. I honestly don't think I need the cure-all. Honestly speaking, the fairy lantern... no, I think I'll take the cure-all over the fairy lantern. I have all this. I'm gonna grab these thick mints back up. Actually, no. I'm gonna drop the thick mints, pick up my backpack. I saw over here the checkpoint flag, and over here another checkpoint flag. So I'm gonna grab all these. Grab out my food, put the checkpoint flag in there, grab out my food, put the checkpoint flag in there, pick that up, pick up these scout cookies, and take this into the kiln. Welcome back from break, everyone who is in break. Hold on, give me one moment, please. There we go. Hey, this should be fine. Oh boy, if I'm on day 8, that means it's already gone for an hour and 20 minutes. That's unfortunate. Hi, Nix. I am playing solo. I asked a few people if they were interested in joining and no one was able to, so I just decided to play a solo match. I'm doing normal difficulty. But I'm thinking about reading another chapter after this and then doing Ascent 6 on this. No, it's okay. You don't have to be sorry. Actually, no, there we go. I would have wasted it if I didn't. Wait a sec. I might not keep reading. My brain started getting jumbled near the end of the chapter and I kept messing up sentences, so I might just leave off the rest of book reading stream until next time. And then after this run, I will probably do my one Ascent 6 attempt and then call a stream there. Wait a little more. Oh, that's really bad. Oh, that was so bad. Oh my gosh. Well, I guess I'm out of my extra energy for a bit. I'll have to use it sparingly. No, 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 no. Well, that's unfortunate. I'm glad I had my... Oh. That's bad. That is really bad. Those are poisonous now if I eat them. Checkpoint flag. I had a checkpoint and I died, so it took me back there. But that means all items that broke when I died are gone. And because I fell in lava and died, the items that were cooked before I revived are now perma cook. And the food that becomes incinerated becomes unable to be eaten. Which is really unfortunate because now I don't have any food. Wait, where do I go from here? I don't think I can make it up there. Okay. Oh no, I'm going to put this down first. Then I'm going to put this here in case I fall in the lava again. Oh, dang it! Oh, and that's it. That's GG's. Well, I'm not living this time. Unfortunate. Well, very close. I think I'm just gonna try another run rather than do more book reading. But yeah, let's see if this goes better. It definitely won't go better, but we can hope. Oh wait, I should go check this luggage. I'm not gonna waste my time on coconuts. I'm gonna go straight for those big luggages. But I'm doing a scent 6 and coconuts are very heavy. I don't have the inventory for that. I've got a decent amount of food right now too, so it's okay. Oh, I will take a balloon actually. I'm gonna check the left side. I went up the right side last time. And that could have gone better for me, but I think I was only able to do it because it was on the peak difficulty and not a higher difficulty. If I tried to do my last way right now, I would probably die. Dang it. That's so bad for me right now. I really don't want to have to use my med kit, but I'm not going to be able to survive nighttime. Oh, actually, I might be able to circumvent the first few hours of nighttime with this fortified milk. Because when you have fortified, not first few hours, the first few ticks of cold's damage, though. I'll wait for the first one. Okay, that healed my hunger. It should stop me from getting cold for a little bit. Don't know how long it'll be helpful for. Long enough. Actually, don't want to do that. Okay, I think this is where I need to pause for the rest of the night. I think I circumvented enough of the cold to not have to really worry about it. I'd rather have to eat as little of my scout cookies as possible, too. I didn't see any food, though. Should I have gone up there? Maybe that direction would have been better. Come on. you don't have to do that. Okay. Come on. Oh. That was lucky. Okay. Made it through the night. I actually think I'm gonna go check that other side. Oh, I don't know why I didn't just come up this way. There's also a luggage right here. Sure. I really wish I had some food other than my, the two things that I have. Berries? No. I'm gonna go back up this way, I think. Maybe not. Looks a little dangerous. Mm-mm. Ah, damn it. Okay. Oh, no, that's... I didn't take fall damage? Pardon. I should let it regen. I don't want to have to go through another night on the shore. Nights in the roots are gonna be so rough. Oh no. Does the night still bother you if you have, what's it called? Oh, Pandora's lunchbox, dang it. If you're at the top of the current zone? I think it does. Okay, that'll save me from the cold for a bit. The Book of Bones. Could use this if I really wanted to. It'd stop me from having to worry about the cold. But if I fall once, I'm dead. Should I risk it, chat? What do you guys think? Do I risk the Book of Bones? I won't have to eat anymore. I could just focus on collecting utility supplies. I think I'll do it. Yeah, I'll do it. Why not? If this fails me, then I will wait, why did it do so much weight? Does it always do that much? Oh, I don't need food. I don't need food. I don't need food. I don't need food. I guess I can hold on to that. I might still hold on to the medicinal root just because the medicinal root will make it so if I take any fall damage, which I'm pretty sure how the Book of Bones works is you don't have to do anything a normal human has to do, but you take 8 times the amount of fall damage. So in those little instances where I take like 1 tick of heart damage, I will be able to not have to worry about it. Oh, a rope cannon. I don't know how well the medicinal root will help with that situation where I take a tiny bit of damage that multiplies to 8 times the damage, but I guess we'll figure it out. Kind of want that luggage. That was quick. I do have to really worry about horned beetles, because if they fling me off, I am quite literally just dead. Maybe I'll go check out the other side. I also believe that with the Book of Bones, the fog doesn't affect me anymore, because the fog is just cold damage, and I can't get cold damage, I think. I don't need that. Something I do really need to be wary about, though, is spiders. Because spiders will grab me and pull me up, and that means I will fall and take damage. So I need to be wary about that. That's a lot of horned beetles. And that's it. Yeah. I honestly just think that any fall damage kills you. I thought I saw somewhere that um fall damage doesn't is just like multiplied, but I guess I was wrong. That's unfortunate. Well, it's been 3 hours 45 minutes. I might just end there. I think I will just end there. I will be back in a couple hours for game night on Jadobi's channel. So I'm gonna go get a little bit of rest after stream before. I appreciate everyone who came and hung out today. I am glad we're on the next book, and I'm hoping that next time I won't be as sleepy when I read the book. Messing up the sentences a lot really just showed that I was tired. But next week I will do my best. I might get an energy drink to see if that helps. But yeah, I will be back on Saturday with Subnautica. I don't think I have anything else to say. But yeah, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you for coming in and hanging out. And I will see you later. Bye, everybody. Bye, 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 bye.